Hello, everyone. It is June 16th. Welcome to the weekly Topher Spin Hangout. It's the Knowledge Bolide crew meeting once again, this time for our 55th time in a row. And before we even start, I have a big shout out to my friend. I don't know if anyone can see that, but that is a little note from Dean Hall in Syracuse, New York. He sent me a batch of oatmeal double raisin cookies with no nuts for my birthday. So thank you very much, my man. Definitely appreciate it. Last week, you guys may have noticed I put together a little 15-minute compilation, greatest hits of the Hangout. And my goal there was to hopefully get some people who are scared to watch an hour and 45-minute or a 2-hour Hangout. That's a lot of investment when you don't know really what you're getting into. Especially if you're not a huge meteorite lover already, because we go down some deep holes sometimes. So hopefully with the highlight reel, I'm able to get a little bit wider audience to take a look at a 15-minute video, see if it's something that interests them, realizing that there's a bunch of people, personalities, and science and fun going on. And that's really the goal of these Hangouts, is to build a strong community and spread the knowledge bolide out there. So that being said, anyone who has anything to share, please feel free to raise your hand. And I do have a question I want to ask. Two videos have been loaded up on my YouTube channel lately, and Ron Metsius had a hand, not a hand, he did the entire dang thing for iron restoration for my NWA classified 13855, I think it is. So if you haven't checked that out yet, check it out. And there's also a video on my channel from Maxime we just loaded. It's blowing up. It is the most viral video on my channel. It's beautiful. I love it. It is just a showcase of 50 meteorites, and it takes 10 minutes to watch, and it's just gorgeous. He has the name and classification of basically everything identified. So that being said, the intro is done. I have a question, because I really didn't listen to Ron's video in the last couple hours, but I was challenged on a post, not really challenged, but just someone put it out there to correct me. When we're doing that, putting a iron into a tank and using electrolysis, is that electrolysis or reverse electrolysis?
I think the most correct description of it is reverse electrolysis. So electrolysis is the process of electrolytically plating material. And so, you know, gold plating and silver plating are electroplate. And so we're actually depositing material on the device of interest. Whereas in the meteorite thing, we're actually removing material. We're removing the oxidization. So now we have some chemists and geologists here with us, but that's my take. Ron, do you concur?
That's exactly right. It's reverse excuse me, it's reverse electrolysis for the exact reason that Pat's describing. Yeah, I just call it electrolysis because it's fewer syllables, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't commenting on your video as much as a post someone said, don't you actually, and they sounded very intelligent. So I basically concurred to them until we got better feedback. I actually went back and changed and edited the video. Now it says electrolysis rather than reverse electrolysis. So, let's see here. Hey, Art Wagner has his hand up. Let's check him out.
Okay. What I have here is an NWA, still in classification, 18.8 grams, location Algeria, and this is a class of brecciated Impact Melt Eucrite, if that makes any sense. And it was found in 2019. And this is the June Meteorite Meteor of the Month Club
That is gorgeous.
It is, and beautiful preparation on that slice. That's not easy to do with eucrites.
Sure is.
This is the polished side, and this is the unpolished side.
Beautiful. Oh, look at the vesicle in there.
Yeah.
3 vesicles.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
It doesn't go all the way through, but you know, I have to restate that because it's on it. No, it's only on one side, unless there's some dirt or something blocking up the vesicle itself from going all the way through. Light doesn't pass through it, so you know. But yeah, I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a really nice eucrite. And the terminology, because we're going to get into terminology in a little bit, but the terminology about the classification, again, it's provisional.
Right.
But so provisionally, it's a eucrite. And if I heard you correctly, it's a impact melt breccia.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, it's a eucrite, but it's brecciated, meaning other material, pebbles and stuff that have been smushed together. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a polymix, meaning a bunch of different stones smushed together, or a monomix, a bunch of the same stones stuck together. By looking at it, it kind of looks like a monomix to me with melt in the middle.
And being a melt, impact melt, there are actually rivers of material that is completely melted and quite often cools quite quickly and is glassy or glass-like, as opposed to just a breccia where or an impact breccia where the grains are fused together, but no rivers of melt, just components fused together. Yeah, that's exactly correct, Topper, and a nice breakdown of the terminology.
Yeah, I want to get into terminology a little bit because let me see. I have notes for today's hangout actually. I don't know if we want to make this a game one of these days that we're bored, or if we're all sitting here staring at each other and have nothing else to do. We can go around the horn and name A through Z meteoritic terms and give a definition. I start with A for ablation, someone gives a definition, and then they say B, and someone gives a definition of that word, and then they say C. And we go around the horn and see if we can get all the way to Z. And I haven't thought of one for Z, but I haven't been pre-thinking it out.
Yeah.
So there's been a little bit of an ask for us to give definitions and descriptions and glossary, maybe as we go, or a show dedicated to it. So I'm just trying to think of fun ways that we can bring that out without just reiterating constantly.
Yeah, and without it being a lecture or something. But the way we've done so far of you know, when somebody uses a term for the first time, somebody pipes up and asks, "What is that?" I think that's a great practice. Let's encourage that.
Yeah, seriously, everyone speak up and interject and add to the conversation, like Mike Kelly is gonna do right about now.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday.
Right.
So I wanted to start off. I only got a couple things to show today, but in a little pre-meet, we were talking about radioactive stuff, and we've talked trinitite before. So there is my first piece of trinitite, which is cool. It's green, and we did our little talk on quasi crystals, and I think it was 2 weeks ago we said that they had found quasi crystals in red trinitite. Which was a good discussion, but I didn't have any to show, so we had to fix that. So,
Whoa!
Wow.
Whoa!
I have to give a shout out to Derek Eust. He hooked me up. That is a not huge but tiny little piece of red trinitite.
Beautiful.
So,
Yeah,
that's the stuff, and the theory behind that is that the copper that was all the leads and all of the instrumentation around the actual gadget device is what became the red trinitite. And then the tower itself that it was suspended on, like 100 feet up in the air, melted down, and the high steel content produces black trinitite. So,
wow, that's pretty cool.
That's the little bit that they went ahead and did the research on to find another new man-made quasi-crystal.
Nice.
That is so rare. Wow.
And then
I wonder what the total known weight of red trinitite is.
yeah, I was kind of interested too. I wonder how much of it's out there. Even the green, how much is out there. I know so much of it got bulldozed over and just wasted.
Yeah, so. The Trinity site in Alamogordo there, they originally weren't paying that much attention to it, but people were carrying away the fused glass from the surface, the trinitite, and shortly after the blast, there were a lot of shorter-lived radionuclides there, and it was actually fairly radioactive. And so I believe it was sometime in the early 1950s that they dug a hole and bulldozed all the stuff into that hole to discourage people from carrying it off. And it supposedly at that time too, you were, if you visited the site, you had your stuff looked through to make sure you weren't carrying it off. I think there's probably something on the order of 100 kilos, maybe a few hundred kilos total. And from what I've observed, where I've seen trinitite where there's the green and the black and the red, that the black and the red are perhaps 1% of the total, maybe a little less than 1% of the total. So those are rough guesses, but
nice. Mike, did you have another thing to show?
Yeah, I did. I got one more thing to show, and that's this little guy here. So this is going into one of my favorite boxes of meteorites. That guy right there.
Oh.
So this is the only Albright fall from Russia.
Ooh. I was going to say
guesses?
Falls, but no. No idea. Anyone?
Nope.
So this is Pesiano. This is a 1933 fall in Kyrgyzskaya Oblast, Russia. And the reason I am very, very happy to have this one, also shout out to Derek Eust on that one, is when I take that one and I put it here in this top row, that is now a complete set of all 9 Albright falls.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's a total of 69 Albrights. Of that, there are 41 that are from Antarctica. So you're not getting those.
No.
And then of the rest, there are 9 falls, starting with Albris. That was in France, 1936.
Now, Albris is what the Albrights are named after. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's
So
the
now
type fall.
We're talking about the entire family of Albrights, which is a classification of meteorites, and they're all named after that very, very first one.
Correct. Yeah. And then Bishopville was the next to fall, and that fell in South Carolina in 1843. Busty fell after that in 1852 in India. The one you mentioned after that was Cumberland Falls, and that is an American fall. It's Kentucky, 1919.
That's the only other one I have.
Yeah. Then you had Kor Tamiki. I'm probably butchering that. 1932, and that was in Sudan. And then going back to America, you got Penablanca Springs.
That's a beautiful meteorite.
Yeah, that's an awesome meteorite. If you ever get a chance to go check out the big hunk of it over at Texas Christian University. It's a cool meteorite, and that was 1946 in Texas. And again, I like that one too because it fell into a swimming hole. And you got Mayo Belwar, and that fell in 1974 in Nigeria. And then that last piece I had was the one I showed you, which was Pesiano. And then of course you can't forget the one that everyone knows, Norton County.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I separated that out because I couldn't stop getting enough of it.
Now,
You're
Michael, have you heard anything about this new provisional albright from Northwest Africa?
I saw the shots on Facebook of it, but I haven't heard much about it as far as who's doing the class on it or how many people are doing the class on it and how it's been divided up. But it sounded like it was pretty sizable.
Yeah, it sounded like it was very sizable. It sounded like there was one piece in the 20 kilo sort of range, and another one potentially in the 100-ish kilo sort of range.
Wow.
And a total weight of more than 1,000 kilos is what they were talking about. But I've not heard of any of it for sale yet. But hopefully we'll get to see that in about 6 months in Tucson.
Yeah, I'd be excited to add to the box. There's some space left, so.
Yeah, but if you scooched all those little ones to one end, you could probably get a kilo in there pretty easy.
It had to be a pretty flat kilo.
Wow.
By the way, using cigar boxes like that is a wonderful way to store the micros. And I found that at my local cigar shop that they give away the boxes, and in fact if you get close to the pile of boxes, they encourage you to take more. So, and they're really quite nice boxes.
We lost your audio there, Pat.
Sorry, I've wandered away here. They're actually quite nice boxes, and wow. Some of them have, I did a little work on these and got all the stickers off, but some have sliding tops like that. Others are hinged, but they kept telling me to take more.
Other camera.
Wow.
Oh, am I on this camera? Yeah.
Huh.
So the figure out where your local cigar shop is and check them out. They're plentiful and free, and if you spend a little time getting the stickers off of them, they're made out of pretty nice wood.
Hmm.
And this joint technique is predictably called a box joint for making wood boxes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty crazy when you realize what the expensive slices cigars are putting in there. They could be $50 cigars, line 25 in there. So yeah, they put some money in those boxes and then they don't really need them. We got a little teaser of a slice from Mr. Ron Meches, and I can't wait to see this.
Okay. All right. So this is a new piece I just got a day or two ago. It's an unclassified mesosiderite. And the interesting thing is those large dark areas are crystalline and they are translucent. I don't know if I can see it on my little handy flashlight.
I hope it shows off.
It's got a beautiful orange translucence. Let me see here. Then get this here. Oh, hang on, I gotta adjust the camera just a moment. You know something? Let me switch to the other camera just a second.
And a few weeks ago we discussed it, and we've come to the conclusion that either pronunciation is correct: mesosiderite or mesosiderite.
yes, the meso pronunciation is the English pronunciation, and the meso pronunciation is the more Americanized.
Okay, there we are. Okay, if you can see this, get my fingers out of the way. All right. See right there along down here.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
There's a few spots. There's a little tiny spot there. And there's some up there in the
Down
corner.
the bottom, there was one too. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, look at that.
The big one is right
And
there.
the cutting job, yeah, the cutting job on these are just amazing.
Yes. So that's one of the bigger.
I think that's
I thought
probably the same meso that I got.
could be,
That is amazing.
but it's
Very
just
There's a
nice.
video of one of the slices coming off of the diamond saw that's quite impressive.
so yeah.
I
That
wonder
was kind of like a real nice find. Let me turn the
Yeah, cool.
and go back to my
I
other.
wonder if there's going to be any subtyping done on it, or if it's just going to be a Meteorite.
It's in classification right now. Don't know about the typing yet. So, but the amount of metal is just amazing. Look at that.
That's a sizable piece. Yeah.
Yeah, this is 70 grams. There were
Wow,
larger,
that's
there were smaller. I bought the middle of the road size. But I mean, it just,
Sweet.
I saw this. At first I thought it was another version of the Tacidet 004, but it's totally different. I thought
Yeah,
the dark
no,
spots were just a Breccia or something like that. So I just got this. I've been playing with it for a couple of days now. So I just wanted to
Can
show
we
it off.
see, Ron, can you show us the dark inclusion up a little closer?
Sure.
Because we,
And this thing's mirror image, so take.
yeah, not that one, but the dark one.
Let's see. If I can get this organized. The one there in the middle.
Yeah. Wow.
Just a minute. I got to think of mirror image here.
Yeah. Oh, that is crazy gorgeous.
That
Yeah,
is a very,
beautiful.
very beautiful
And
slice.
just because I've got it here, Topher, this is the piece I chose out of those 5 slices.
Ooh.
Came out, actually, I reworked a lot of the slices. I bought some
Sweet.
new ferric chloride, and it came out much better the second time. You'll see that in the slices I sent you.
Stunning.
I sent those off today, which I know you know.
Very.
I'm excited to see it.
Very nice. There's no rust. Let's see, go this direction. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, the piece came out very nice. I was kind of upset the way they first came out.
Oh,
Had a brown cast to it, but these
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
very, very nice.
Beautiful.
oh, that's gorgeous.
This is one of those pieces that you're going to give away for supporting that one fella.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So this one, yes, for the weight, this is 35. This is the larger piece that it's kind of the middle of the road piece. Some are better, some are worse. 35.2 gram piece.
I'm so glad that you have that now in your collection. You after this, please send me a reminder of the weight, and I'll issue an official COA.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat. Is that okay?
Nice, yeah. I'll let you an official COA. This is the one you etched.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And because I bought a whole bunch of new toys, like a new heat gun, a new scale, and a whole bit, which I needed anyway. But and so I did post a video of this on Facebook. So feel free to look it up and enjoy.
Excellent.
And there's a lot of education in that as well. He takes you through the thought process and why the alcohol baths are important and in what order to do things and whatnot.
Yeah, this one took a little bit of special handling. This is an oddball. This is a tough one. I worked a lot of these.
Yeah.
This is a hard one. But
this one was oozing rust through the crystal cracks. And
I still don't understand that process. I don't know what's going on, but it took some special care and handling to get it, and very quick handling. Yeah, I couldn't let it sit.
Yeah, so there's an entire like 25-minute video up, and it's phenomenal. I highly recommend it, especially if you're gonna start getting into reverse osmosis.
Electrolysis.
Electrolysis.
Oh my God.
That's totally different.
When trying to be a smart ass, it goes backwards. Let's check in with Cameron Smith. Cameron, turn your camera on. We'll come right to you. There he is.
All right. So, got a piece of Hoba shale from, let's see, it was Alan Mazer. So,
Hoba is the world's largest meteorite.
it sits in a amphitheater of its own creation.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. It's very, very hard to get anything that's not, well, anything like that, but anything that's not shale either.
Yeah, it's only shale.
Rex.
Oh, that's a beautiful individual.
He
Yeah.
showed
Nice
it to me
crust.
the other day, and it blew my mind. Does anyone have an idea what it is? I just thought it was a fresh unclassified. It's actually a classified meteorite.
Gadamus.
You are exactly right.
Wow.
Wow, way to go. Yep, nicknamed Gadamus, but it's officially Ha 346. And that's probably one of the freshest samples I've seen. What's the weight on
This, I think it's 31 grams.
Sweet.
it? That's a beautiful one. And that one came from Poland, didn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
By
sure
way
did.
of Poland. Yeah, that's
So-
gorgeous, man.
That's all I got this week.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that one, man. That's a gorgeous one.
Absolutely.
I'm putting your hand down, and let's check in with Pat Brown.
Okay, well, so we were talking in the pregame show about various meteorites, and I pulled a couple out and grabbed a couple more. So this one is my first classification. This is NWA 13250, and it is it's an oddball in that it's a L parentheses H3. From a physical description and size of chondrule and such, it is an L, but the chemistry is H. So when they do a thin section and it's uncovered, and they put it in the electron microprobe, which is an electron microscope that has an additional capability of being able to focus the electron beam on individual grains of crystal and stuff inside the meteorite, and by fluorescence, figuring out how much iron and manganese there are in the silicates. And so chemically, this one is very much like an H. It's very iron rich and magnesium poor. And we were talking about crust, and this one is a real oddball because the crust is this kind of dusty chocolate grayish color.
Yeah.
But again, as we talked about crust last time, you can see this area down here is desert varnished, and then up here it's not super black, but that area where we can't see through is crust. So this whole area in here is all fusion crust. And then I just grabbed a couple more. This one is a provisional CV3. It's not classified yet. But again, you can
Carbonaceous.
Carbonaceous, yes. So you can see patches of crust and even some contraction cracks in the crust there.
That's sexy.
this area. And then this one has just a few
Oh yeah.
aligned regmaglyphs along the side there. And then on this big, which would be the forward face. So this one is somewhat oriented. We can't really say totally oriented, but somewhat. But you can see patches of crust and broken away stuff there. A very oddball CAI down here.
Sizable.
Yeah. It's pretty good sized. It's about 14 or 15 millimeters across. And then a fractured surface on the other side.
That's definitely oriented. You can see like a rollover lip on that, unless I'm being fooled.
Yeah, there is some rollover lip here, and there's a little bit of secondary crust on the back. So this one, I wouldn't say hyper oriented, but because it shows some aligned regmaglyphs there, it's oriented to a degree.
Well, that's awesome. You don't see very many oriented carbonaceous.
Yeah, and we were just talking in the pregame show. CV3s also, and that's almost not classified, so it's not an official CV3. It's provisional. But CV3s tend to lose their crust very easily. We look at a lot of the Allende meteorites. A lot of them were pretty roughly handled, but they pretty much have all the crust busted off on all the high points and the corners and such. This one is, and then this is another unclassified one. And I think I've shown this one before, but it's been some time.
It's worth showing again.
Yeah. And from our discussion of last meeting, you can see that the fusion crust is almost completely absent on this one. It's inadvertently desert sandblasted.
Is there a green chondrule in there?
There is. Sticking out of the top there.
Wow.
So this one has almost no attraction to a magnet, and the chondrules are pretty much cheek by jowl, and the chondrules are reasonably good sized. So it's fair to claim that this one is a provisional LL3.
Wow. Now, would you ever cut it and get it classified?
Yes. Yeah, that's the intention for this one, is to cut and classify. Now, if it were a perfectly crusted individual, maybe not, but where it's sandblasted on all the surfaces.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
But it is a very pretty rock. Got one nice big chondrule in the center there, high center.
Yep.
And then this one, I don't know if I've shown this one. This one is one that I call the Heartstone. And it's not a Valentine's heart. It's kind of a butcher case heart. But it is an interesting one for crust, because you can see it's mostly crusted and has some nice contraction cracks in the crust and a fairly thick stippled crust. But over here on this end, it is not crusted. A lot of the crust, that's the upwind end of the rock, and a lot of the fusion crust was sandblasted off and gives a nice glimpse into the interior and shows very large chondrules. And it also shows tight packing of chondrules. And this rock will pick up my standard half-inch magnet, but doesn't hold it.
Yeah, it doesn't hold it very well.
Doesn't hold it very well. So provisional LL3. Now this one is so pretty, I probably won't cut that one for now, but who knows? So those are. Oh, and then I think I showed this one last time too, but it's interesting to get one more look at it.
That's amazing to have a yellow, a white, and a black all lined up like that.
Yeah. Yeah, this one definitely shows some interesting chondrules. Whether it's going to be a type 3, I don't know, because the chondrules are not packed super tight. There's some matrix in between them.
God.
This one might be an LL4 rather than LL3. And then we were talking about in the pregame show, we were talking about the relationships and even the overlap between primitive ordinary chondrites and carbonaceous chondrites. And so I showed one carbonaceous chondrite there. This is another one that is kind of an oddball in that it looks very CV3-ish. This is a single stone, unclassified. And the notable absence of CAIs, of the normal fluffy sort of type. That little bit there might be a CAI. But
CAIs are calcium aluminum inclusions, and
yes,
it's found in carbonaceous meteorites predominantly.
Yes, and they can be found in some of the very primitive type 3 ordinary chondrites as well. And the mystery, it's one of the mysteries of carbonaceous chondrites that CAIs are very, very refractory, very high temperature material that was presumably formed close to a star, close to our sun. But the dark carbon-loaded material in carbonaceous chondrites is quite low temperature stuff that was formed further away from our star. So how we have that dichotomy of the really primitive meteorites having CAIs and having the primitive carbon-loaded materials is interesting. This one is kind of an oddball, and it doesn't show real well on this cut face, even under the microscope. But I think this one is going to be a CO type. So that one's unclassified. This one is 3 stones, this being the smallest one. And then the last one that I wanted to show is this guy. And we can see that it's mostly crusted.
This is the one that bugs me the most.
Yeah, yes, and it should for a good reason, because this is one of the few times when I get to go neener, because I got there before Topher did. This is one that Matthew Stream sold on eBay, and it happened to be a slow day on eBay when Topher and the rest of the folks at home were taking a nap on the couch. I wasn't taking a nap on the couch, and
I was selling computers.
Oh, okay. And so this one was sold for 87 cents a gram. But if you look on that cut surface, hard to see, but you can see some small chondrules in there.
Oh yeah.
Very uniformly sized small chondrules. So this one is probably a CO, and that there's the fractured surface on it, and it has quite a bit of soil staining from the caliche limestone based soil in Northwest Africa in the desert.
Just throw it in a food processor and get rid of it.
or acid. I mean, you throw acid on it and it would
Yeah. Awesome. Well, those are some fantastic meteorites, Pat. And people, including myself, was first asking Pat, like, how in the hell do you have so many beautiful, substantial, and just like scientifically gorgeous meteorites? And the answer is decades of collecting, my son. Decades.
Years and years of collecting. And the other part that helps considerably is I'm not married at this point, and so the only arguments about buying meteorites is once in a while my shoulder angel or my shoulder devil will argue with me a bit about buying meteorites. But for the most part, I'm left to my own devices. But I too am on a timeout at the moment.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
when Bruce and you guys are out of timeouts, let me know. I'll have a live sale.
This is the final one.
And Bruce, I actually look forward to seeing you next month.
Yeah, be good to be down there. Looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to going anywhere, but
There you go.
Oh, and our Meteoritical Society meeting is going to be live in Chicago in August, in a couple of months.
What did you just have? We didn't see that big slice.
Oh, the last one? Well, this was the explanation for why I am in a timeout right now.
Wow. Is that Abapanu?
Yep.
wow,
Good Lord.
Oh,
gorgeous slice.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Remember back in the day when I traded you, part of the trade for the microscope was a piece of Abapanu?
Yes. Yep. I've still got that one in the collection someplace, but it's no longer the biggest one I have.
Yeah, I'm now embarrassed of the slice I sold you. We're trading for. Hold on. So now is the time in the show when we check in. Oh, it's our 55th in a row. And I actually got the date right today. We got some video submissions this week from Domyon and also from Jules. So Jules is attending live, and Domyon is in Croatia. So he's probably asleep right now, but here is his video for the week. Let me turn the volume up all the way.
Hi, this is Domyon from Croatia. I'm sorry I wasn't able to record a video the last couple of weeks, but it's an end of the school year, and for us as teachers it's a very busy time. When Pat Brown heard that I was on the lookout for a meteorite to be used for public outreach, he offered to help and sent me one completely for free. I couldn't believe his generosity, and I've been impatiently waiting for it ever since. No, this is not it. First, let me show you the largest meteorites I had till now. This is 9 grams of NWA 869. Next we have a 17-gram Gauguini, and this beautiful 70-gram Canyon Diablo was my largest meteorite to date. And then we have the new stone from Pat Brown.
oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Needless to say, I was shocked, both by its size and its beauty. It's fully desert varnished, with fantastically smooth primary surface, and smoothed and, I believe, regmaglyphed secondary surface. Isn't it gorgeous? I'm simply thrilled and couldn't have asked for a more beautiful specimen.
That's cool.
You can try and guess the weight, and Pat can reveal the winner after. For size comparison, this is my whole Chondrite collection. I really can't thank you enough, Pat, for sending it to me.
Well, it was my pleasure.
It's weird not to include a few of my macro shots at the end. Here's my Western HAD box. And this is my new favorite unclassified Eucrite fragment. Enjoy the photographs and see you next week, when hopefully I'll have more material to show you.
Wow. Pat, that was really nice of you to share that with him. Thank you.
Yeah, he's doing outreach work. Wow, that is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Look at the contrast in that vein, the shock vein through it.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and the video ends on that frame too. Yeah.
Beautiful.
He does some really great micro work.
his photography work is over the top beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. And the really, really thin fusion crust with the Eucrite material poking through. Wow. That's great. Domyon, thank you so much. Hello in Croatia. That's a great video, man. Thank you so much. And I hope your schooling is going well. Don't skip on your grades. So next we have Jules Michels, or Michels, I'm sorry. I thought it was pretty cool last week. Jules mentioned, by the way, she has a snake around her neck. Just wanted that to be seen in case you guys thought it was a scarf or something. No, it's a freaking snake.
That's my daughter's snake.
Wow. Yeah, you wouldn't catch me with it around my neck.
Okay.
Last week, Jules was talking about grit and lighting for photography. And I just wanted to show a quick example before we get into her video. If you look at this, this is the same exact stone, lighted and photographed differently.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really, really great example to show that. And then she has a really, really good video, and I'm going to get into it and mute it though. Copyright. So now we can feel free to ooh and all together.
Beautiful.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
The metal piece on towards the right of center is beautiful. All sorts of fluffy
Right there?
detail to it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, this is a beautiful meteor here.
absolutely.
Loads of metal. Look at all this metal down here.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, whoops, of course I have to hit it near. So these, I'm hoping to be corrected if wrong, but here we have a huge bleb of metal followed by what I see as little pockets of melt in here. And again, I see some more melting in here as well. I do see a bunch of chondrites still present.
Yeah, there's some. The areas, the dark areas that you were pointing out, they could, it's hard to tell from one picture, they could be melt, but because there are also some fractures in there,
Yeah.
it's possible that those may be some weathering artifacts too.
Maybe what?
Maybe weathering artifacts.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I too was wondering the same thing, whether it was from weathering or if it was a melt, because it's kind of hard to tell. And it's even hard to tell when I'm looking at it in person which one it is. So,
But that's the slips, oh, of course. But that's the same one right here.
Yeah, interesting study in lighting.
Yeah, I really appreciate the lighting.
I thought it was kind of neat when I was trying to take pictures of it. There's only 2 meteorites that I've cut that I've been able to take a picture like this of. I tried to get the same effect on the other meteorite that's in these photos. I could not. I couldn't get the same effect. It was kind of weird, but neat at the same time.
Wow. Gorgeous.
Yes.
Wow.
That one is really interesting. The lacy metal piece below center looks like it has grains of stuff trapped in the metal. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and the reason I put this video up is because last week when I was trying to show it live, all you could see was all the metal. All the metal was just showing through, and that's why I took pictures and made a video of it so you could see the other parts of it. They're super cool.
Yep. If you look at the two metal inclusions, if you will, those two metal inclusions, as Pat pointed out, have silicates in the middle of them. But if you look at it, they're all inside this one pebble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that pebble is separated from pretty much everything else. It's definitely a brecciated, but super unique. You can find that this exact pebble, if you will, is repeated over here. The light color with the heavy, look at the heavy metal right there, like AC/DC or Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. This is really gorgeous stuff, Jules.
Yeah, that little included pebble there or area could almost be described as a mesosiderite sort of texture.
Yeah. A mesosiderite is basically 50-50, 50% metal, 50% silicates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's also got that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's also got that dark halo around that little pebble.
Yes.
Okay, so since it's a unclassified NWA, and it's a pretty small piece, it started out as 27.82 grams, and I did have obviously some loss in cutting it of like a not quite 2 grams, but like 1.738 grams of loss in cutting and polishing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to get something that tiny classified still? Or
absolutely.
I'm just trying to find something that would be worth classifying, that's neat enough to be like, yeah, this is it. I really like this one.
Yeah, so
I like all the ones I got, but
for classification, you send in a type sample of 20 grams or 20% of the stone, whichever is if the thing's less than 100 grams, then you send in 20% of the stone, and then a piece to make a thin section out of. One of the difficulties right now is that because we've been so successful at feeding Daniel with pieces to classify, he's gone just to a set pricing of $350 per classification, and so by classifying a very small stone, you don't wind up with a whole lot left, and you wind up with if you're doing it from a business angle, you don't have much stock left to sell. So it does kind of, make it so that real small stones are less economically viable to classify. But if your motivation is doing it for yourself for science, then 20% and a slice for a thin section.
perfect. Yeah, I emailed Daniel because that's
cool.
My plan eventually when I get there to do fun and science.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's that pebble again. Yeah. I'm really happy for you. This is some good stuff. Wow.
Thanks for selling it all to me.
If I had known what it was, I would have charged more.
I don't doubt it.
No, that's part of the fun is, cutting into them for the first time and finding what you got on the inside. But there's also another part of meteorite collecting and the meteorite hobby, which is finding them. Now, I would much rather buy them. If I had to survive on meteorites I found, I'd be homeless and begging. They're just not out there, and regardless of what people think, you're not going to walk in your backyard and find a 50-pound lunar. It takes years of dedicated search. So I want to call out one of our friends and a friend of the Knowledge Bolide, Ben Fisler. He's put, I asked him how many miles he has put walking in Arizona looking for meteorites, and he doesn't count miles, he counts shoes, pairs of shoes and hiking boots. And it's been numerous. So he's been out in Holbrook and in Gold Basin and Franconia, just collecting meteorites and hunting wherever he goes. This past week, he was in Holbrook, Arizona, which was a witnessed fall in 1912, I think.
Yep.
And was successful finding meteorites. I thought it was really cool, his meteorite stick.
Yes.
He's got the old wedge action working. But it's a good idea, though, and it seems to work for him. So he was out there in the desert running around and found a few of them and actually sent us a little video.
Hey, Topher. It's break time in the truck. I'm completely baked to the very core from hiking around today. I've had enough. But I thought I'd show you what I got. Let's see. These four are from yesterday. And then this is the stuff I got today. Anyway. So that's what we got.
I'd be happy too, because right there, that's more weight than I've ever found. So Ben, thanks for checking in. We definitely appreciate it. We do understand that, you know, part of the hobby, and like we wouldn't have meteorites to sell, trade, cut, and enjoy and study if we weren't out there, if someone wasn't out there finding them. So little shout out to Matt Stream. Thanks for not inviting me and letting me know until it was too late. Yeah, screw you, bud. But no, I probably couldn't have gone anyway. But he was out in California a couple weekends ago, maybe last weekend, and he was hunting for meteorites out there. So a little shout out to Matt Stream of Streaming Meteorites. He was in Lucerne Valley looking at one of Pat Brown's favorite places, dry lake beds. So looks like he's pretty well set up there, man. A little camping spot. Got his trusty dusty 6 centimeter scale with a potential. So we're not going to comment on this, but we'll leave it at that. He has a potential, and which kind of actually leads me right into my next slide. We've mentioned Daniel Sheikh a bunch of times during the Hangout. He's a friend of the Knowledge Bolide. He's a meteorite classifier, and he's a college student. He's trying to raise a little bit of money so he can change from Florida to Portland, and that's quite a move, and it's where his education is making him go. So to pursue his passion and his love for meteorites and his education means he needs to move cross country, and we're kind of helping him do that. So if you do a screen grab right now, you can donate even $5 if you want. Do a screen grab now if you want for my inventory. If you see meteorites that you like and you'd like to buy a meteorite, I definitely have some available online as a live inventory. And also we do have Knowledge Bolide shirts and also other Topher and meteorite shirts out there as well. So screen grab that, and don't forget to hit the like button, because that makes Facebook like us. So
And YouTube too.
oh, we're on YouTube. That's right. Yeah, that's what happens when you try to do keyboards and talk at the same time. So
So we were talking with Julie about, you know, what do you look for when you look for meteorites in the U.S. and she pointed out you know, that if a fresh one fell, you know, that had nice fusion crust, then, you know, we can look for rounded corners, soft shoulders, we call them. We can talk about fusion crust and how it kind of has a stippled look to it. But in the absence of fusion crust, what are we looking at? So this is a meteorite. This is one of the Nevada dry lake bed meteorites, and this is the largest one that I've found personally. And this thing is an ugly spud.
Yeah.
It has some teeny tiny patches of what might be crust, but mostly it's a rusty red rock. Or not, well, actually not that red. It's kind of a brown with a tiny bit of red tint. And let me go over to the other camera here and show it in reflective. But it's just an ugly, rusty looking sort of rock. This one, this meteorite has been on the ground for probably 1,000 years anyhow, give or take 1,000 or two. But the way I found this one is I went to a place where meteorites had been found before. Surface of the dry lake bed where there really aren't very many naturally
breaking up a little bit, Pat.
Microphone up close. You know, I went someplace where meteorites were found before. I went in an area where there are not a lot of rocks. You know, out on the surface of the dry lake bed, it's a mud flat. There's not many rocks, and so when you're in that situation, any rock is suspect. And another example is Holbrook in Arizona. There, it is not a perfect, you know, dry lake bed, but it's that similar sort of land. It's very silty, that super fine particle clay sort of material. And so in these kind of situations, we do walk around with a magnet on a stick, and when we find a rock that will stick to that magnet, we look at it, and we're not relying on the magnet to tell us meteorite or no. But this one, a magnet will snap to it. It has quite a bit of metal to it. That magnet won't come off.
But the magnet test is not an end-all be-all test for meteorites, because my truck will attach to a magnet and it's not from space.
Right. and when we're hunting in Holbrook, there are a lot of rocks that will attract a magnet, and of the ones, you know, I went there and hunted with about 10 people, and perhaps 5% of the rocks that would stick to a magnet actually were meteorites, maybe less, maybe 2%. But we're mostly going off visuals, and we're looking for that rusty brownish color.
It's amazing though, even though Holbrook fell in 1912, when you pick up a suspected one and you're pretty darn sure, you put your eye loop on it and you see bubbly fusion crust. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yes. The Holbrooks have a wonderful amount of retained crust. They're in the desert. They've only been on the ground 100 years, or 105 years, 100, whatever it is, 108, 100.
If I can add a little bit to the shape of that meteorite that you have there, that's a fragment of a meteorite. As Pat said, it's probably been out there for 1,000 years, which literally, and we're not just saying 1,000 years, we're saying 1,000 winters, 1,000 summers. All the rainfall, all the expansion and contraction breaks that meteorite mass up into what we have here, the shards or fragments of the meteorite.
Right. So if you want to get fancy about it, you could call this a lenticular shape, a lens-like shape. But basically, it's you know, our meteorites are from the asteroid belt. They have to have collisions to be able to get into an Earth-crossing orbit, and those collisions cause weakened shock planes through the rock. Many of those shock planes actually have a little bit of a gap in there. The water gets in the gap, seeps down in there, and can freeze and pop the crack open, or can find a grain of metal of iron and rust and pop that crack open. And so, you know, it's thousands of years of that process of popping the cracks open, and you wind up with this.
Awesome.
Thank you for showing that. I appreciate it. That's helpful.
And I was hoping it was helpful.
Yeah, we like taking requests here. So if anyone has requests, but there's something that I have wanted and look forward to, and I've been pushing it off. We're going to check in with Chris Monk now. Chris is about to step into the world of manhood. He's about to have he has found his first thing to classify, and he's just dying to show it off, and I'm dying to see it. So Chris, turn on your camera and I'll highlight you, buddy.
So as we talked about last week, you had speculated that I was on Meteorite timeout, which this is the reason I'm on Meteorite timeout. I received my package, and there is, it doesn't seem like it's focusing very well. Anyhow, I bought a group of stones that are currently, I sent off the package today. I actually received this yesterday. A group of stones that I am having classified.
That's a nice one.
That's nice orientate.
Beauty.
Got a lot. So talking, as Pat mentioned, so this is the largest of the stones. This one's 75 grams. But it seems like everything that we were talking about tonight kind of led up to this. So with that being said, here's an interesting thing. These stones are magnetic, the big ones. The big stones are magnetic. However, these stones are not.
Wow.
There's a couple of the little ones that are slightly magnetic. There's a couple of the little ones that are slightly magnetic. So we were talking about it, as Pat likes to say, in the pregame show, and kind of going over some stuff. But for those of you who know me, I don't leave anything uncut for long. So this is one of the smaller stones.
That's beautiful, my man.
Looks very
Nice.
CV3-ish. So I'm hoping for my first classification to be a carbonaceous, and I was actually on the lookout for something that is worth classifying. So this is the stone that I woke up really early this morning, and before I went to work, I went out into the garage and cut. And then one of the magnetic stones I also cut because I wasn't for sure that they are the same stone. So again, this one's magnetic. This one is not at all. So we've been hypothesizing, we've been theorizing. Could it be the same classification and just different levels of metal in it? Or is it a completely different classification entirely? Do I have two different types of stones? I don't know. I sent one of each off to Daniel, who we've also been talking about a lot on the show. And I'm going to find out. I might have to send him a couple more stones and a couple more dollars, but I may have 2 classifications out of this.
Wow, jump in with both feet.
But I do think that both stones, either they're the same or not, I don't know. Topher, you had suggested CR2.
Yeah, when I looked at this one right here, I'll be honest with you, it looks identical to NWA 1465, which is a anomalous one. It's one of only 5. But on the slice that you showed me, when I first saw a picture of it, again, on Facebook Messenger, so it wasn't the highest quality, but I'm standing by what I'm seeing right now. Yes, CV3 is a definite possibility, but I would not drop dead if CR came back.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I really don't have any ideas other than I feel like everything that I have cut and looked at is carbonaceous. I just don't know. And here's one of the, so this is half of the thin section piece I sent to get classified. But I mean, you can see that there's some CAIs in there. There's some definite chondrals. CV3 screams to me, but I wasn't expecting the magnetism of the big stones.
Yeah. Can I see that one in the center that's weathered and cracked? Can I see the outside of that one, please?
Yep.
I think you definitely have 2 different meteorites here. That looks a lot more sun-baked, as Pat brought out last week. When a rock sits out in the sun, it gets darker, and that looks like darker than the other material. When you look at the cut face, see, that's a good example right there. When you look at the cut faces, you'll notice that one has a lot of weathering in there. It's really weathered. I'm not saying weathered in a negative way. I'm just saying it is a weathered stone. But when you look at one of the slices, at how creamy the inside is, it is not the same meteorite in my small opinion.
Well, that agrees with what I was thinking in the pregame show here. You know, the matrix colors are considerably different too. Really a black matrix on the left, and definitely a chocolatey CV3-ish kind of matrix on the right.
Or CR.
I think it's quite possible that the darker one there that attracts the magnet well will turn out to be a CR. But my money on the chocolate colored one is CV3. That's so beautiful from the outside.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the other ones too, the chocolatey colored ones are so beautiful from the outside as well.
Well, and you know, that was one of the real, like, there's so many of these individuals that just have the really good texture on the outside, really nice desert patina on them. This one, actually, we were talking about, actually looks like it still has a little bit of crust on it.
I think that one has a lot of crust on it. It's
you can
blacker, smoother.
Those are beautiful chondrals sticking out, man.
Yes, got a bunch of chondrals melted in half. Yep.
You can see the contraction cracks up there at the top. Yeah, so either way, whether it turns out to be 1 or 2 or all the same, or some weird unclassified previously stone, I'm super excited to have my first classification, and no matter what it turns out, I feel like it's going to be carbonaceous.
Yeah, well, I 100% agree with you that it's going to be carbonaceous. Exactly what kind, whether it's going to be 1 or 2. Either way, I'm happy for you, man. And it just gets Daniel 50 miles closer to Portland. So I think between everything Pat has stacked up, if he were to all dump them at once, we'd get him all the way pretty much outside city limits of Portland.
Those are beautiful, beautiful stones, Chris. The individual ones with the chondrules and the chocolatey matrix, those are beautifully stunning, gorgeous meteorites. And
I also have an entire bag of crumbles, and you can see in some of these, there's obvious CAIs just popping out.
Right.
What's the total weight that you were able to acquire?
Total weight was 464 grams.
Very nice.
Nice. A pound of goodness.
And real quick, Topher, before I go off to something else, because Mike was talking about Trinitite, this is not Trinitite, but when I have to be an adult in my real life, I'm an electrician. So this is what happens when a 525,000 volt line hits the ground.
Wow.
Arced out.
That's a man-made fulgurite.
Oh yeah, man-made fulgurite. And you can see here some of the line is still attached.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. That's beautiful.
I don't know. I just thought I'd show that since we were talking about stuff other than fulgur or real impactites or.
Yeah, there was a conversation on some of the Facebook groups whether Trinitite really belongs on the Meteorite page or not because it's man-made, blah, blah, blah. Hey, we don't have any rules here. You know what I mean? You want to show something off? Let's put a camera on you, just like Bruce.
So, and since we were talking about, two things found together, or are they? Get this to show up a little bit better. So, you guys see the one stone, but it's like two very different looking things inside.
Yeah, different
On the
lithology.
Yeah, two very. See. And with the magnet, it sticks on both, but it is way stronger on the top than it is on the bottom. This is Gold Basin.
Wow.
Cool.
That's a big Gold Basin.
Yeah, but it's like if you had a slice from down on the bottom, it's going to look one way. If you have something from the top, it's going to look something completely different. Pieces I've seen of Gold Basin generally look, I think, more of the top version than the bottom, right? It's classified as L4, and it has several classifications of it, and but you can see that it's clearly one stone, but two very distinct looks to it. I don't know about obviously about the chemistry of it, but yeah. So.
Wow, that's fantastic, and that's from my home state. So much love. Now, Bruce is going to be traveling to Phoenix for Space Fest.
Space Fest, yeah.
When's that?
July 14th, 15th, whatever that weekend is.
Something like that, 17 something. But whenever it is, we're going to get together. So I look forward to meeting you actually in person. So yeah.
So July 15th. Well, it starts the evening of 16th, 17th are the big days, Friday and Saturday. So yeah, that's down in Tucson. You can still buy tickets. I think you can show up. Obviously with COVID, things are going to be a little different. And, unfortunately, I think the only Apollo astronaut that's confirmed so far is Charlie Duke. There's some Skylab, Apollo Soyuz, I think, but a lot of shuttle astronauts are going to be there. I think So far, they've got 16 astronauts lined up. There's a lot of other scientists. Last year, well, not last year, the last time that they had it, since it wasn't on last year, there was somebody that they had the sample of the Osiris Rex, the head from ASU, how they were going to collect it, and they were demonstrating that. So yeah, it was really cool. It was great to talk to the scientists that that are behind the building, the engineers and building it, and so there's a lot of stuff that goes on there, artwork, collectibles. So
nice. Well, good. Maybe you'll take some pictures or shoot a little video, and we'll put something together for an update when the Space Fest is done. Let's see. Oh, we have Marissa with her hand up. Let's check in and see what she has today.
Hi guys.
Hey, Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Yeah, so since we were on quite a lot of carbonaceous chondrites, and that's my favorite type besides all the L3s and LL3s, and so I wanted to show my biggest carbonaceous chondrite slice.
That's beautiful.
The dramatic reveal.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Look at
it's
those
12.8 grams.
Is that one classified?
Yes, it is NWA 7678.
Ooh, an earlier one.
And I can flip it around to see the other side.
Motherfucker.
Ooh, beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah,
If you guys want to turn it up a little bit, you can. I'm done. Sorry.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah, I'm quite happy. This was actually from my earlier purchases when I first started out, and it was probably my biggest and most expensive one for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I'm just pretty happy with like the contrast of the colorful contours and the dark matrix.
It's the work of art.
Even though that's not the polished side, that is almost the display side.
yeah.
And these carbonaceous chondrites are so wondrous too. The building blocks of life are in there.
Yeah, that's why they're my favorite. Scientifically, they're so important, and they help to bring at least, kickstarters for life.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of more things. I did make one new purchase. I was bad and didn't do what I was supposed to do, and so I just couldn't say no to this 0.3 gram slice of Park Forest.
Whoa.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, the melt veins in there are just gorgeous, and the other side is pretty similar. Like they go straight through, so it looks like a complete triangle of just melt veins.
Wow.
And the metal flakes are amazing too. I wish I could show all of that off, but it's just so tiny.
Yeah, but you can see on the side how the melt veins go all the way to the other side, as you said.
Yeah. So I'm quite happy with that. I couldn't say no to that. And then this is just, it doesn't say on the back what if it's classified or not. It just says that it's CR fragments. Like it just says C.R.
Mm-hmm.
So these are my only fragments of a CR carbonaceous chondrite.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I need to check and see if I have any that I can perhaps show off one of these times, because I'm not even sure if I have any CRs myself. Mike Kelly, let's see if he does.
Oh, he will.
I got CRs, but that's not what I was coming back to. I was coming back to this. So I finally pulled the trigger and started getting everything worked out on the Isomet 1000 saw and also the Buehler Petrothin. So these are starting to become these, which are slowly starting to become these.
Very cool, Mike.
Nice.
So couple things in the work. You would like this one, Topher. This was funny. This was one of these scammers, and I know we're not doing scammers right now, was complaining about not being able to win Sean Tudero's pieces. And the slice that was on their site for like $20, you know, when he was complaining he couldn't get a decent deal on the original sale.
I remember that guy.
This is like $6, you know. So it's a little hard to see, but it's a decent breccia in there that I'm trying to get thinned out. So this is sitting at about 50 or 60 microns, so it's not quite translucent yet. You know, it's starting to just in the corners, but when they get worked down to the appropriate 30, which this one's a little over 30, and I got to do the final polish on, they look good. But there was that fake palisite.
That's
wow.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, that's coming down. That's it's getting.
That's Chung's fake palisite.
Yes.
So I took a little piece of that, and that's getting thinned out. And the fun thing when you're doing your own slides is you can do goofy things. So there's 2 different Meteorites on one slide right there. So I'm gonna see what the difference looks like and be able to compare them side by side without having to switch out.
Nice.
So obviously that's freshly mounted. I need to take them to the lap and give them a coarse grind down, and then put them onto the Petro Thin and bring them down about 50 before finishing them by hand.
Is one of those Vaca Muerta?
Yes.
And
Oz,
one?
shout out to Oz. Thank you very much. That is a tiny little bit of Vaca Muerta from you. And the other one, I'll have to pull you the number and put it in the chat. It's an NWA. One of the, I think it was like in the 7,000s.
Okay.
So
nice.
I'll go pull that out.
You should also perhaps take some pictures and videos of that process. We'd love to have a guest video on that subject.
Yeah, certainly can do.
Awesome.
Mike, do you have the blade in your Petrothin?
Yes, I do have the blade in the Petrothin. It is the original blade from the university. So it's not in the best of conditions. You know, it's well used. So I've been using the Isomet as the method for bringing them down.
Right. Okay. I found that there's one of the 303 diamond blades that's 25 thousandths thick. That fits in the Petrothin. It has a weird arbor. I think it's 1 inch. Arbor. Yeah. I just I said if you can get a thin blade in there, that's good. I already got the super thin blade on the Isomet with the slide holder on it. So to me, it's just kind of makes sense to run them on the Isomet at a cheap, $5 cheap blade all day long. Right.
Still being thin.
And a thin kerf. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I have one thing that I want to show off. This just happens to be already set up just to test the lighting, so I might as well show it off. Nice little compo. Greg McGlift. Yeah. But we're not talking about irons today, so get out of here. This is what I wanted to show. This is my slice of NWA 1465. It's a CV3 anomalous, and if you look at it, it looks pretty similar to what we were talking about.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Now, you may ask yourself, oh my God, this is 25 and a half grams, and it's a beautiful end cut. Who the heck was able to manage that? So let's pop her out and take a look.
Okay, yeah, I think you get the techno studliness award for that one, Topher.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, it was a hard one to cut. It
A lot
actually
of fractures in there. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But if I didn't tell you it fell apart, you wouldn't know. That's so. But look at the outside of it. So maybe this will help Chris a little bit in the identification of his. This is obviously a little more desert worn than what he has, but this is the CV3 Anonymous.
Topher, was that difficult to polish?
No.
No, no, okay.
The CV3 material is quite a bit softer than a lot of the ordinary chondrites, and with the tungsten carbide, or not, I'm sorry, not tungsten carbide, aluminum carbide, sanding papers and grits and such, it really cuts pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I definitely noticed that when I was cutting the pieces that I did. It's very much hard like a stone, but it's much softer. It's more like cutting a travertine than it is like cutting a quartz.
Yes. There was a famous story of one of the, he was a retired astronomer, I think, went down to, in 1969, in February, went down to the Chihuahua state in Allende, and loaded up his trunk of his car full of Allende boulders. And he was going around to the universities selling them. And he showed up at, if it was Arizona State or University of Arizona, one or the other. This is in one of Neininger's books. And, you know, he showed them to the meteoriticist there, and he said, well, you know, I'm gonna have to grind a corner off and, you know, polish it up, and we'll have a look. So that'll take a while, you know, you might want to come back after a couple hours. Then the fellow with the trunk full of meteorites said, no, that's all right, I'll wait. And so he touched it to the grinder, and poof, woof, it made a black cloud that probably smelled funny, which is pretty cool. And so he managed to sell a few Allendes for, I don't know, $10 a pound or some crazy cheap amount of money.
And ASU still says, still swears they wish they bought more.
Yes. Well, and you know, we were talking in the pregame show about meteorite purchases and being on timeouts and that kind of stuff. The only meteorite purchases I've ever regretted are ones I didn't make.
Well said.
Amen to that.
We're talking about carbonaceous, so I got to bring out the beast.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh,
that is 65 grams of Allende.
Wow.
That makes you drool. Wow.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Get a good feel for the stone.
CV3 was a pretty rare classification before Allende, and they had done limited science on it just because it was a fairly rare classification. But in 1969, in Houston, Texas, they built the Lunar Receiving Laboratory for looking at the moon rocks. And we didn't know exactly when we were going to get the moon rocks. And so, you know, they had the facility staffed up with the best and the brightest and all of the newest, best tools that one could purchase for any amount of money. And along comes Allende in Chihuahua State in Mexico, a short car drive from Houston. And so Allende went on to become one of the most researched meteorites, along with another meteorite that fell in 1969 in Australia.
The mighty
Murchison, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But to show you that not all, like, color is not all important, I was really talking about the tanness of those. Here's another one. Whoops, falling out of its case. Hold on. Okay, so this is NWA, wow, 122, wow, 12268. It's a CV3, and if you look at it, it still has a lot of the brown and tans in there.
And the matrix on that one is kind of in between Chris's chocolate colored matrix and Allende's ashy gray colored matrix.
Yeah, there's parts of it that look like his right here, this tan. And then all the way over here, you can definitely see a different matrix. It's definitely a black matrix. Here's another piece of the same classified meteorite.
Ooh, that is a beauty. There's all sorts of stuff going on in there.
Yeah, I don't know what this is right here, but it's got a ring around it.
Yeah. And some non-fluffy CAIs.
The other side is it's paper. It's only wafer thin.
Wafer thin. Oh, look at that CAI. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
The CV3 that Stephen Amera classified that I have some slices of has some purple things that look like purple CAIs. Beautiful.
It has like a bright orange one right around me here.
And some pretty fluffy type CAIs towards the top center there.
You can hear your Geiger counter going in the background.
Oh, sorry. Turn off the audio.
That's just funny. Yeah, so as you can see though, this is yeah, you can get lost in this looking at it up close. And that's a lot of carbonaceous material.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of non-carbonaceous material, you know what I mean? You can get lost in chondrites all night long as far as I'm concerned. Well, that brings us to about the 2-hour mark, and after editing and stuff, I'll be up till about 2:30 this morning. But, great hangout, guys. Thanks a lot for joining and so much participation. That's what really makes these things so successful with you guys. So thank you very much. Have a great night, everyone.
Night, everybody.
Thanks all.
Take care.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nice stuff, Chris.